There are so many interesting, horrifying, or downright weird things in this big world of ours.
Each week, we'll bring you a new true crime story that has little to no coverage in English.
Let us do the translations so you don't have to. I'm Laura.
I'm Petra.
And I'm Victoria. Welcome to our podcast, Translation Murder. Do we have any announcements or updates related to the previous episode before I start?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. If not,
I
then
yeah, I tried to do some more research and there's nothing else that has been updated since the Lindenfels at least.
Okay.
So
Yeah. If
still
not, then
waiting.
of
Yeah.
course we can cut this part out. But I just thought that will give you the
Mhm.
chance to add anything.
Yep.
Okay. So today I brought you an unsolved Hungarian case from the 90s. Like I said last time, Laura, you inspired me to bring some unsolved cases or cold cases. Um, this one is officially unsolved, but there are many theories that exist about it. Some of them are, of course, more likely than others. There are certain things that we can be sure about, but not the full story. So there's going to be a lot of room for speculation also in this episode, which I know you like.
Yeah,
So,
like I said, we should have had a t-shirt or something that says let's speculate because we're always speculating in these these cases especially,
yeah.
but
And many times we speculate because we don't know enough details. I think in this case, it's going to be a little bit different. We know a lot of details, but still not the full picture. So today we're going to talk about the disappearance of 17-year-old Helga Farkas. Helga Farkas was born on August 2nd, 1973 in Orosháza, Hungary, and she
huh,
disappeared.
wait. Orosháza. Haha, I
I
know
knew
this place.
I knew you were gonna remember the city. Yes, so she was born there, and I'm gonna talk about the city and some important details related to the city in a second. I will tell you first that she disappeared on June 27th, 1991, when she was 17 years old, but pretty close to 18 already. And this is a case that I've heard about a long time ago. It's kind of a famous case, but I never really knew the whole picture. I was actually kind of surprised how much information there is about it. And I actually exactly remember when was the first time that I heard about this case. It was when I was probably around 14 or 15 years old. So that would be 2007 or 8. And I was at this hair salon with my family. Like we regularly visited this place. And I remember that Helga's sister was one of the other customers there. And I didn't know anything about her or her sister's disappearance or anything about this case. But when I was there, the other people there like kind of brought this case up. And after she left, and I was like kind of intrigued about it. I wanted to know more, but I didn't really look into it for many years. And then later on, we talked about this case with Betty as well, who is my husband, which I will add now because I think his name came up a couple of times before, but we never explained who he is. And Laura knows the city that I mentioned because Betty is from Orosháza, uh, just like Helga and her family. I talked to him about this case, and it turned out that his family actually knew the Farkas family back then, and also some other people related to this case. But this is not too surprising because Orosháza is kind of a small town, so basically everyone knows each other.
Can I ask a question then about this case
Uh-huh.
and or maybe more of your opinion about it or something, but would you say that this is your case that kind of got you into true crime, or were you interested in true crime before this case? Before
That's
going to
hard.
this hair salon? Yeah.
That's hard to say. I think I was interested in true crime before this. I wouldn't say that this was the case that got me interested in it, but I just kind of remember this moment that I heard about it and I was immediately thinking that, oh, I wish I knew what happened. But I wouldn't be able to like kind of point this out as a, as the case that got me into true crime. But yeah, one of them for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so Petra, you were asking about Orosháza. It's not a huge city. There are about like 30,000 people who live there. So
Okay. Yeah.
not a small village, but not a big city. So usually people kind of know each other. And because of this like family connection to the city, I try to gather some information about the case through them as well, mostly just to be able to get like a kind of a better feel about the local, uh, gossip or like unofficial news or like feelings related to the case. So that was interesting. And
So you basically did detective work for this case, and
well, um, I wouldn't call it that. I just like asked some people, some family members, kind of what they remember and what kind of things they heard about it back then. But I wouldn't call it detective work. But yeah, it was still like super interesting to have this like more like kind of a little bit more personal connection to this. And otherwise, I was doing my research mostly from Hungarian news articles. There's many, many articles about it. And despite the fact that it's a well known case in Hungary, I found virtually zero information about this in English, like almost nothing, just a few small mentions, but not much.
wow.
So I was able to gather a lot of information, anything like ranging from rumors to actual facts. And sometimes the difficult thing was to try and sort out like what pieces of information are reliable and what is speculation or what is just gossip. So I will always try to mention during this case if I know that something is a fact or completely accurate, or if I think it's like, if I'm not sure. Overall, a complicated case and a lot of details. And I think most of the details are kind of crucial to discuss to be able to get maybe any closer to the solution. So, because of that, this will be a two-parter, and we will continue the same case next week.
Yeah, we won't make you wait another 2 weeks between. Yeah.
So, everything that we know about the case basically points to the direction that Helga was abducted. And this is the first kidnapping case in Hungary ever, but at least after the end of the communist era in 1989, which was a phase of political and societal transition that in Hungarian we call rendszerváltás, which can be literally translated to system change or regime change. Kidnapping was something that people maybe around this time, of course, it's not common even now, but back then, people maybe heard about this in like American movies, but not never in real life. So, of course, this case draws significant attention and is very widely covered in the media. And they are also struggling to figure out how to like handle or talk about it. And actually, kidnapping was not even included in the Hungarian criminal law yet in 1991, which also
Wow.
means that, yeah,
Wow, that's insane.
it is, right? And it also means that police had no idea how to really like investigate such a case.
So, okay, you were saying that there had been no cases of kidnapping, like in the books, obviously, or
Hmm.
is that because there was no crime on the books for kidnapping? So kidnappings could have happened, but it just no one's
That's
been.
a good question. So this one is, I don't want to give away too much before we actually get to the details, but at least this was the first one that was so organized or seems to be so organized. So I'm sure some people were abducted and things like that, but nothing like this before.
Okay.
I was this also made me wonder like when kind of kidnapping became a thing. And I don't know if did you find anything, Petra, for instance, about Finland, or have you heard, both of you, like anything about it in like when was the first case? Because like 1991 kind of sounds a bit late. And definitely they refer in the articles, they refer to it that uh, that people like heard about these types of kidnappings in American movies. So I'm pretty sure that in the US there are similar cases much earlier than this.
Do you want to go first, Petra, or?
No, no, you can go first. You
I
come from the
mean,
country of kidnappings. Sorry,
oh
just
shit.
kidding.
Well, alrighty then. Thank you for that. I mean, everybody kind of knows about the Lindbergh baby, right?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most, I guess, the high profile cases, and that was, I think, in 1936. And yeah, there's also speculation whether it was actually Lindbergh and his wife to have abducted the child because the child was ill or had some
Hmm.
genetic defect or not. So who's to say if it actually was a kidnapping?
But there are always
Or
speculations like this about every kidnapping.
yeah, I mean, but and then of course yeah, okay, there's that one, and I don't know, are bank robbery with like hostage situations technically kidnappings too? Or is that just I don't know
I
where to make
mean,
the distinction because
yeah.
then I was thinking the Stockholm syndrome case, of course, and these types of things like where they were, wanting some was it ransom
Hmm.
for hostages, etc. And then
Yeah,
I did, yeah.
because
So
sorry.
no, you're good. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
That's like this is kind of I think the term in English would be false imprisonment, like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
just preventing someone from moving freely. At least in the Finnish criminal law, that's kind of the kidnapping is not the crime, but the crime is taking someone's freedom. You know.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I was
Like,
also wondering the same as Laura. Like, what is kidnapping? It's just keeping
yeah.
someone
Yeah,
somewhere
like sort of
kidnapping.
limiting their freedom or something like that. And I think
Yeah.
that in the Hungarian law there was something similar, like something about like limiting someone else's freedom, but not actual kidnapping. And I think that was added later. So there was something similar in it, but it wasn't defined
Mm-hmm.
exactly as kidnapping.
No. And then I did some research just because I was kind of curious about Germany, and there was an increase in kidnapping cases from 2004 to 2018.
Wow.
Um, yeah, this was like it ended in 2018 with an average of 5.5 per 100,000. So I mean, it's still relatively low amount of cases, like
Hmm.
5.5 per 100,000 people. So, and then there was the case of this Ursula Herrmann, and this I think had some international recognition. Happened in 1981. 10-year-old, and there was a ransom. It's oh yeah, sorry. The the case of this is the girl in the box in Germany. So there was a ransom for about 2 million Deutschmarks, and after 4 days, they found her body in the woods, and there was actually only a conviction quite recently, I think in like 2008 or something. So quite quite many years afterwards that they found the body, that they were able to find that the neighbor or like one of the neighbors of Ursula was in debt and tied him to this crime and the wife. So
Yeah, I
that's kind of
remember something about this case.
yeah.
Or
There's
maybe
like
it came up
two.
in a podcast.
Yeah, there's two different girl in the box. There's also the one where the woman was kidnapped and there was this box that was placed on her head, and this guy, I'm running a blank on his name, but he created this box that was kind of this deprivation, so she couldn't see, couldn't hear, and they called her Kay, I believe, and she was in prison for something crazy like 7 years or something insane.
Yeah.
And that's the other, I think, girl in the box case or woman in the box. So there's two that have kind of the same name, I think. But yeah. And I guess I have one case about Finland, but I think I'll leave that to Petra because I'm sure we have the same one.
I'm
What
not
is it?
sure at all.
Oh,
I mean,
okay. Well, if not, then I'll also say something about Finland and Sweden. But yeah.
well, what I found out was that basically the false imprisonment. How is that pronounced? False imprisonment. Anyway, taking someone's freedom, if you translate it directly from Finnish, uh, it's been in the law actually already from over 200 years. Sorry, not 200 years, but like from the 19th century. Yeah, it's not
Hmm.
200 years yet. Anyway, from the 19th century, so not a new law, but of course it has changed many times. But anyway, apparently there are about over 200 cases per year of this, but most of them are kind of family things. For example, a horrible ex not letting
Mm-hmm.
the someone out of their house.
Custody. Yeah. Or that too. Yeah. Or like there's quite many cases also in the States and I think around the world where you have split custody of children
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
there's the one parent doesn't give the child back to the other parent for their turn or something.
Yeah.
So that's very common. Well, I would say very common, but I mean within this crime type, that's the common one. And also generally like some of the member of the family taking the kid. But I think one of the most famous ones from the recent history at least was the kidnapping of from the Herling family. Herling family is the richest family in the history of Finland. They own the Kone, if you know, the one that makes elevators and escalators and
And
cranes and
gives
stuff like
research
that.
funding.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's one. So uh, I think they took like a female member of that family. This guy kidnapped her and wanted money. I think this is the classic movie kidnapping, that you kidnap someone and you ask for money.
Mm-hmm.
What's the
Yeah.
word in English
Ransom.
that you ask? Ransom, yeah. And then there was like just a while ago this kidnapping of a kid, 9-year-old kid, also kind of case of rich parents. But these are pretty rare in
Yeah.
Finland.
Yeah. Also, I think I'm pretty sure that in Hungary, these kind of cases where one parent just kind of held their children hostage and didn't let the other parent see them or something like that. These kind of cases, I'm pretty sure, happened, and that's why that kind of aspect of it was already in the law, but not like actual kidnapping.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we also have the Amber Alert in the States, and that's named after a girl who was kidnapped in the 90s, I believe. And that's kind of when you hear an Amber Alert go out, that means that a child has been abducted, at least. And that's
Okay.
been after one
Ah.
case from Texas back in the 90s. And yeah, this girl, Amber, was kidnapped and killed. So
But now I'm curious about was were these cases any of, like, did I cover the case that was on your mind, Laura,
no,
in Finland?
no, no, which now
Now I
I'm
want to
like,
know.
okay, sorry. Yeah, so mine is a bit older, from 1930, October 14th, 1930.
Oh,
And it was the abduction or the kidnapping of the former president Carlo Juho Stolberg and his wife
oh, you mean
Esther
the
Stolberg.
muiluttamiscase
And
that they
well,
took him to the border?
did they take him to the border? I didn't see that part. I think there was multiple. Well, there was the one attempt from the fascist anti-communist Lapua movement in Finland, and yeah, they abducted him and his wife from Helsinki in their house, and there was also multiple death threats and stuff afterwards. So they were really hating this Stolberg guy.
Wow.
But yeah, president in Finland has been kidnapped in the
Oh my God.
1930s.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also the name would probably be pronounced in English as Stolberg, by the way.
Mhm.
Just as a as a thing, because Stolberg is very different than Stolberg.
Okay. Would you like to say anything else about or talk about just kidnappings in general, or should we go
N-
on with this case?
Let's go on.
Okay.
Too long of a tangent. I mean, at least it was on topic.
So before I get into this case and how Helga disappeared and kind of the details of the kidnapping, I will talk a little bit about her life and her family, because her family and yeah, it's important to understand where she's coming from to maybe put this case a bit more into context. So the Farkas family is originally from Orosháza, like I mentioned, which is a smallish city, and it's actually about 60 kilometers from my hometown, Szeged, which, if you remember one of our previous episodes about the Szeged witch trials, you know that it's a relatively bigger city in the southern eastern part of Hungary. And Helga's family was pretty wealthy. Her father, Imre, owned several successful businesses in Orosháza. He was originally a house painter in the 70s. And then later on, in the early 80s, he entered business life in the late communist era when there was a new law that made it possible to run. I'm not really sure how to explain it exactly, but it kind of made it possible to run small businesses as a sort of a contract operator. But the most important part here is that there was no need to report any of the profit. So,
Wow.
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
so they didn't have to report kind of anything to the authorities about the money flow or the profit. So this was, you know, it gave a lot of possibilities for making a lot of money.
Sounds like you're jumping from the communist to the other deep end.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
exactly.
this was actually still in the 80s when it was still communism. So in the late, like communist, or some people would prefer to call it socialist era. But yeah, so he started getting into business life through with the help of this law. And then by 1989, which was the year of the regime change that I mentioned, most of the businesses in Orosháza fell under his sphere of interest. And so this already meant that they were pretty wealthy. And then another important thing to add here is that before the regime change, it was forbidden to practice any form of, or at least certain forms of gambling in public places. But by the early 90s, it became legal. And at that time, he already had experience in the field of hospitality through his existing businesses. And when gambling in public places became legal, he started his gambling machine business. So he was like offering these like gambling machines or slot machines. I'm not actually sure which is the more common term. Laura?
I, uh, I guess slot machines, maybe.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
A lot of those in Finland too, even like today everywhere.
The ones you have in the supermarkets.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
these kind of machines that you can just put like coins into it and then just, like these gambling machines stuff.
Yeah, I would call them slot machines, but
Mm.
I'm not the native speaker here.
Yeah, pretty sure it's slot machines.
Yeah,
Sometimes I
I
have to
found.
question my my English as well.
So he started offering these slot machines to various like bars and pubs and restaurants at a surcharge. And he was making millions of forints on a weekly basis from this business. And just for the sake of comparison, I will tell you that in 1991 Hungary, the minimum wage was less than 7,000 forints.
Damn.
So it was a lot of money. And I will tell you like some details about like conversion and stuff in a second. Because in 1991, in May, there was a newspaper article that mentioned that he pays 40 million forints in taxes every year, which today would be about 600 million, or 1.5 million euros, or 1.5 million dollars in taxes per year. This is a
So
lot.
he's a rich guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Damn. I mean, this is all like, even if you didn't tell me this was a kidnapping case before, I'm already thinking, okay, this is leading somewhere. Either he has, I don't know, some mob ties or whatnot, or yeah,
Yeah,
kidnapping.
pretty much. Yeah. And this was like known, so it was not a secret to anyone. And actually the contemporary media was portraying him as this like wealthy entrepreneur. So this was totally like public information. And I did ask the locals, some of the locals, and based on what they said, it sounded like kind of the general consensus was that he was actually quite a well-known person in the nightlife and like organized crime circles as well. And I did find this information in some of the more recent articles too. So this is not purely speculation. This was kind of, yeah. And this was not actually, this would not be surprising at all because organized crime was very much present in Hungary in that era, especially in the like hospitality and like entertainment, gambling industry.
So did it kind of have its boom or something right after the socialist or
Yeah,
the
yeah,
regime change? Okay, yeah.
yeah, it did. And when I was researching this case, I ran into a lot of interesting stuff that are not strictly related to this, but I already have some ideas in mind about like other cases that I might bring in the future from the same era.
I do like this type of cases. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's kind
and
of
like
interesting.
Eastern Europe, it's full of this kind of cases. Okay, so about Helga, I tried to find like some more like personal kind of or how she was described in by different people in the newspaper articles that were released at the time. She was described as a kind of a beautiful young model, so kind of very typical. I don't know if she was a professional model or anything like that. I think she did some like kind of modeling thing, but she was still in high school, so she was only 17. But you know how like newspaper articles typically
Yeah, they always
describe,
mention females as being beautiful.
yeah,
So
beautiful,
Yeah.
yeah. I also found that she had some like behavioral issues in school and she was like described as a very like social, like extroverted person. And but I mean, you know, like she was a teenage girl, so I guess like it's nothing like out of the ordinary. Interestingly, so I mentioned that her 18th birthday was approaching. So either because of that or because of her high school graduation, I'm not sure. She got a gift from her father, which was a brand new car. And it was not actually like not your ordinary car. It was a bright red Mazda MX-5 convertible.
cool.
Yeah,
The basic birthday present for a high school kid.
yeah, right. And I mean, like this kind of car would kind of stand out anywhere, but just imagine how much this stood out in 1991 Hungary. Where
I mean, were
Yeah.
there still like a bunch of Ladas in Hungary at
exactly.
this
So,
time?
like at that time, getting a Western car was not easy. Still, it was pretty uncommon. So, like most people had East German and like Russian cars. So yeah, Ladas, Trabants, and things like that. And then among all of these, Now there's this red like Mazda convertible driven by a 17-year-old.
But can you call Mazda Western car? It's Japanese car.
Well,
It's
Well,
even more Eastern car. But yeah, I get what you mean. Like
okay.
quality
was that a
car.
dad joke, Petra? Like,
True, but definitely not a common car. And it really stood out. I mean, it's fine. Like, of course, there's no problem with that. I'm just saying that this is another sign that it was not a secret that it was a wealthy family. Now, about the day of her disappearance. So I mentioned that the family was originally from Orosháza, but actually in 1989 they moved to Szeged. So when Helga disappeared, they were already living in Szeged, but they still visited Orosháza like pretty frequently. I think even like several times a week. The two cities are about 60 kilometers from each other, and that would be about 37 miles, which is about a 1 hour drive. And now I've taken this route many, many times in my life between the two cities. Whenever we visit Hungary, we still like travel between these two cities many times. And now it's just so weird to think about it that that is so like it's so closely related to this case. So that's just a side note from me. But yeah, so the family had a lot of businesses in Orosháza still, also in Budapest. So they were traveling between these cities quite a lot. And actually, on the day of Helga's disappearance, her father was in Budapest doing some business stuff, and he was supposed to arrive home sometime during the night. And on the same day, so this is June 27th, and I think it's a Thursday, Helga and her little sister and mother, the three of them, go to Orosháza in two cars. The original plan was that they are driving back to Szeged in the evening, the three of them together with these two cars around 7 p.m. But instead, they decided to split up. And the reason for that was that because they were planning to go on vacation the next day, and Helga's mother asked Helga to get the oil changed in her Mazda, still in Orosháza.
Can I just ask a confirming question? So she was driving the Mazda alone,
Yes.
and the mother was driving another car with the little sister.
Yeah, I'm not sure if when they were driving there to Orosháza, like was that the case or like who was sitting in which car? I'm sure Helga was driving the Mazda. Maybe the sister was sitting with her.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know.
could have.
But on the way back, the mom and the sister was driving back together. Helga stayed there alone. And the plan was that she's driving back to Szeged a bit later after this oil change.
but to get an oil change, I'm just wondering if she had to have made an appointment for the oil change, or
Mm, I don't know. Like usually, I'm pretty sure they, knew everyone in the city. They just knew like some mechanic, and they were like, "Oh, could you like do this quickly?" And they were probably like, "Well, yeah, but only in like 2 hours." So maybe that's why she had to stay a bit longer.
yeah, I'm just thinking, just kind of spitballing here, that the plans changed. So if there was indeed, I don't know, a kidnapping plot in the works at this point, that they had changed their plans at the last minute, kind
Hmm.
of.
Yeah, this is one of the weird angles of this case, that this was not the plan. I think we can probably get more into the speculation. I think like even next week when you know all the details. But this is one of the weird angles, that this was not the plan. And it sounds like everywhere this sounds like kind of confirmed information that they changed it. They changed the plan in the last minute, basically.
Mm.
So in the evening after this oil change, Helga went to the mechanic to pick up the car with her friend. Then around 8:30 p.m. she calls home to tell her mom that she's leaving now and she should be back in about an hour. So you can probably guess that she doesn't arrive by 9:30. And at
Really?
first,
Wow.
yeah,
I never would
yeah.
have guessed that.
Yeah. So but we know that she is about to leave. So that's kind of the last, more or less last confirmed information about her, that she's about to leave at 8:30. She doesn't get home. So of course, there are no cell phones at this time. So her mom cannot just like call her and ask what's up. So they get nervous. They don't know where she is. They get worried. So her mom goes to look for her, and she actually drives to Orosháza and back twice to check if she maybe had an accident or just to, you know, to see if there are some obvious signs of her. But she doesn't see anything weird and she doesn't find her. So after that, she calls the police and reports her missing.
Did she know what was the place she was going to go for the oil change?
I'm not
I
sure. I
mean,
think
if I was the
so.
mother, that would be the first place where I check and ask, like, okay, do you know where she headed or something?
This might have happened. I'm pretty sure she knew where the oil change was done.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just guessing here. I don't know. This was not included in any of the sources that I found, but I'm guessing that
Okay,
she went there and asked.
okay, yeah. So we don't know
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
The next thing that we know after this is that the first ransom call comes in at around midnight or a little bit around midnight. So at that time, I think her mom is probably not at home yet, and we know that the dad is still in Budapest or on the way back to Szeged. So her little sister answers the phone, and of
Do we?
course, yeah.
Sorry, again. Do we know how old the little sister was?
I was just about to ask this too.
I don't know. I didn't really want to like give a lot of details about her because I know her name and things like
Okay,
that.
but
But
like, was she a little kid or already
she wasn't
a
like.
bit older? Cool
Now I'm
kid,
just
maybe.
guessing. I
Yeah.
would think like probably around like 12 or something like that.
Okay, yeah. So that you can deal a phone call pretty
Yeah, yeah. But
independently. Yeah,
obviously she was not who they wanted to talk to.
yeah,
So
yeah.
they end up calling back actually a bit later around 2 a.m. And by that time, the father is already home. He got home, I think, a little bit after this first call around midnight. And then he starts like talking to the kidnapper. And so, what we know at this point, based on these first few calls, is that the kidnapper is always talking in a very whispery voice to try to cover their identity. And they say that they have Helga and they demand 500,000 German marks as a ransom. And this was worth about 22 million forints then, which would be 322 million today, or 830,000 euros, or $873,000. See, I did all these conversions for you.
You.
Yes, thank you.
But yeah, that's quite a lot of money.
A lot of money, and I mean, of course, well, it's clear that it's like that they knew that this family had this amount of money and they could probably pay it
I
because this
mean,
was like a huge amount. Yeah.
also with the whispery voice, I would think that they were worried that the father, I guess, would be able to recognize them. So
Hmm.
that's kind of interesting too,
Yeah,
right off the bat.
definitely.
So
Yeah. Yeah, and actually, and this will come up later, but I will tell you now that this whispery voice continues, and there are several more phone calls, except for one time when this caller accidentally kind of forgets to whisper or to cover his voice. So there's like a little segment when you can hear his real voice.
Interesting.
Uh, yeah. So after these calls, the family, like, of course, agrees to pay the ransom. And throughout the next few days, they start like negotiating and trying to like set up the conditions of the exchange. And there are several more phone calls that will follow after this. So I will get back to those in a minute. But first, I will tell you about the investigation and what happens uh, right on the first or on the next day. Do you want to ask anything before I do that?
I was just thinking, did they ask for proof of life right away? I mean, hmm.
Yeah,
Of
Yeah.
yeah.
course,
I mean, that's the first thing you usually when you see these movies and hear these true crime cases that
Hmm.
you need to prove that you even have the person you claim to have kidnapped.
Yeah,
Otherwise, your ransom requests don't make sense.
yeah,
exactly.
because I mean, I was thinking that, of course, I don't really know what state of mind I would be in if my child is missing but I would automatically be like, "What? You have her kidnapped? Well, let me talk to her. I need to hear
Mhm.
her voice or something at least, just so I
Yeah.
know that she's alive."
Yeah. I think during these first few calls, I don't know, maybe they asked. I mean, that would make sense. There's no proof of life right away. There will be something like that later, which I will tell you in a second. Next, I will tell you about the investigation and where it is. So there's a lot of things happening. I try to like organize the timeline so that it kind of makes sense and it becomes sort of easy to follow, but a lot of stuff. So because the police were involved kind of immediately because Helga's mom called them immediately when she couldn't find her. And then, of course, because the ransom call comes in within the first few hours, it's not really a question what happened. So the police obviously like doesn't suppose that this was an accident or she ran away, but they kind of they knew that this was a kidnapping and they start investigating pretty much right away. So at least they're not losing time because we know that in some cases it's an issue, right? That it takes a long time for the police to actually do something.
But as long as you're white and a girl and
Wealthy,
wealthy,
yeah,
yeah.
maybe have some connections with the police, yeah, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, that was US comment, right?
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, the wealthy part and the, I don't know, attractive young female kind of
Mhm.
thing
Yeah,
trope, I would say. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, or they could have just anyway started the investigation if you have a panicking mother in the phone.
yeah. And I mean, yeah, really, this was not really a question because that there was this ransom call, so they knew that, oh, okay, so she's kidnapped. So it's not like, well, let's wait, maybe she comes home later or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. There's no space for that kind, because in most of the cases when someone disappears, there's often some time when you really don't know,
Mm-hmm.
are they actually just coming back soon or what happened. So of course the police doesn't act or I don't know, of course, but often the police doesn't act immediately, but here it's
Yeah,
such a clear case. Yeah.
yeah, and also because we knew that she was just calling before she left that, okay, I'm leaving now, I should be there in an hour. So the whole like timeline of the investigation and like the whole like first few days is like really tight. We know a lot about certain like times when things happened. So it's kind of maybe one of the more rare cases when we can know what went down when.
Yeah.
So already on the next morning, that would be June 28th, Friday, the police find Helga's car close to a bridge crossing the Tisa River in Algyő, which is another kind of small town between Orosháza and Szeged, but it's already quite close to Szeged, so about maybe, I don't know, 15 kilometers away or something like that, so less than 10 miles away. And the car was not on the main road, so it was left on like a service road that was kind of close to the bridge. Because I was wondering at first here that, oh, but if her mom drove back to Orosháza, like twice,
That
was the
she
car
would
like
have noticed.
yeah, but I think I'm not sure, but so this was not like right by the road, so maybe if she just went there to see if there's any accident or anything like that, this was not like obviously visible that it's there, so we don't know when the
Yeah, she
car.
probably wouldn't assume that the daughter would have come back home by some random road. I
Yeah,
mean, if she was looking for an accident, she would assume that it has happened on the main road.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Can I ask one more question about the timeline?
Yes.
So she was supposed to be in Szeged at what time originally before she got the oil change?
Wait, so originally, so before they changed the plan?
Yeah, before they changed the plan.
So I read somewhere that they were originally planning to leave from Orosháza, like together, the three of them, around 7 p.m. But instead, she is now leaving or supposed to leave at 8:30. But this was, I think, only mentioned in one place, so it might not be completely accurate that they were planning to leave at 7. And I'm not sure when they actually left, like the mom and the sister. They left earlier than 8:30 for sure, because they were already at home and she was calling.
Because my next theory, why it could still possibly work with the time plan changing, is that I'm not sure how big the roads are in Hungary and whether the main road going from Orosháza to Szeged would be a one lane or like 2-lane road, one in each direction, or is it a kind of like a freeway, or
So
is it a big road, or
so it's not like a highway. It's a big. I'm not sure about how many lanes there were in the 90s. It might be
well,
like
yeah,
just one lane on
okay,
each
yeah,
side back then. But
yeah.
don't quote me on that.
Yeah. I was just thinking that another way, because she has this very noticeable red Mazda Miata, or yeah.
Mhm.
So I was thinking that if you're maybe parked on the side of the road, you could see her coming. You know that she's going to be going from Orosháza to Szeged like that day at some point, right? And then just like looking out for her
Mm,
car to pass by and then stopping or like, oh, yeah, whatever, flagging the car down. And then that's how they abduct because even like an hour and a half. So originally she was supposed to leave at 7. She leaves at 8:30. An hour and a half isn't that much more time to wait
that's
for her.
true. But do you think it's realistic that the kidnappers were planning to abduct all three of them? Because then they were
No.
supposed to be driving back together, like kind of
Yeah. I
behind
mean,
each
yeah,
other.
it could have been like depending on how many people were in the car, it could have been even more money or something.
True.
Like,
But it's also
who
more
knows?
complicated.
Yeah, but I mean, just think about it too that if you have three women, one is about 12, like approximately 12, one's
Hmm.
17, and then I don't know, just going off the stereotypes here, I doubt they're very scrappy and know how to fight and stuff, and easily like a car full of guys could overpower, and if they have guns, you're going to be wanting to oblige these kind of highway robber people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So yeah, that's just my ongoing theory right now and mere speculation, but like yeah, that
yeah.
that just
It
popped
makes
into my
sense.
head, especially with the red car, because that just sticks out to me that easily visible a red car coming down the road, you can see it from kilometers away.
Yeah,
So
and it was definitely not difficult to spot this particular car there.
exactly, yeah.
One, like before knowing any actual details more, I'm just with this theory, I feel a bit suspicious because there must be other traffic too. So if you had like, I don't know, 5 guys with gun kidnapping them, that would draw quite a lot attention. So I
Yeah,
doubt that that would have
exactly.
been their plan.
But I mean, you could also, for instance, you see the car coming, you could pull out behind them and wait for a more opportune moment when there's nobody around to either get her off the road, like kind of make her drive off the road or something like that. It could be, I mean, it's how many kilometers did you say? It was like 60 or
60 between the two cities.
yeah, 60 between the two. That's plenty of kilometers to kind of have an opportune moment or something, or even shoot out a tire or something so the car
But
has
Yeah,
to
but
stop.
not for
but it,
2 cars. That's the part where I think
yeah,
that
Ah,
wasn't their original plan to kidnap them all.
hmm.
It's quite
yeah,
difficult if
this
you have 2 cars.
this part is yeah, a bit difficult, and it is a main road, so it was probably kind of busy back then, even, and I don't know. It was the evening, so it was getting dark even in the summer. So I mean, that would have been for the kidnappers' advantage for sure. But exactly because of this, that this sounds kind of difficult. Some people think that she was probably not abducted on the road or like during the route to Szeged, but maybe already a little bit before that in Orosháza. But yeah, we can speculate more about this because there's
Yeah.
there's
Give us
so
more
much more
information.
coming. You can't
Yeah.
imagine. There's a lot of details.
So they
Okay, where was
find the
so yeah,
car.
yeah,
They find the
yeah. So
Mazda.
they find the car. Yeah. So you remember that it was close to this bridge on the service road. Oh yeah, actually, do you want to see a map? So yeah, there's also this picture of her and her car. But yeah, you can
Wow,
see that,
that's some car.
right?
She looks so cool though, like
I
a bit
know.
gothicy kind of like, and then driving around in a red sports car, like
You can
fucking
you can
badass.
also check the other photo that I put there in the same folder. Even now, there's nothing like no spoilers there. You can just see how she looked like, and another photo of the car.
Yeah. She looks like she has this good confidence.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's the map, so you can see Szeged down there on the south, and like a bit below that, the gray line is the border, like the Hungarian-Serbian border, and then Orosháza. And so this little arrow already like closer to Szeged that says Tisahíd, Agyű, that's where they found the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then some more details about the case. I will make a translation of this stuff. So here's what they find in the car. There's not a huge amount of evidence, but I will tell you what they find, and then I don't know. You can speculate some more. So the police find that the driver's seat was adjusted for a person who would be about 180 to 185 centimeters tall, or about 5'10" to 6'1". So kind of tall. And Helga was shorter than that.
Yeah, I was just about to guess that. Let's guess that this wasn't her uh, height.
Yeah, they suspect that someone else was probably driving the car who was taller. They also find a shoe print next to the car, which is identified to be about size 44 in EU sizes, or, and you can correct me about this, Laura, 10.5 US and 9.5 UK sizes. Does this
Yeah.
sound correct to you? In
What
like
was the
the
EU size again?
44. I think it's
Yeah.
10.5, but I don't know
Yeah,
because
that sounds
there's
about
like,
right. Because it changes also. Like I think like with clothing sizes and also shoe sizes, it also
yeah.
depends on the type of shoe and
Or we
Oh,
whatnot.
can use
Jesus.
some absolute metrics and tell that it means that the foot is 28 centimeters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but
That's what they use this in Japan. I just checked it with this
yeah,
Ah,
table.
super
But
smart.
I mean,
Yeah.
I love Japanese with their shoes. They use centimeters for their shoe size. Oh,
makes a lot more sense. I never know.
yes.
Yeah. But
But anyway, it's a big size for a
yeah,
shoe.
it's a big
Like,
size. Usually a
it's,
men's
yeah.
size. Yeah. Not always, but more often. So they also find an unidentified palm print on the rearview mirror, and
Mhm.
500 Italian lira coin on the floor of the Mazda. But this coin was only mentioned in some of the articles, not all of them. And those articles were related to theory that comes up much later. So I don't know. I think it's probably true, because why would it be in those articles? But I'm just saying that it was not mentioned everywhere.
Okay, so basically you're trying to tell us to shut the fuck up and don't ask about the lira yet until the speculation comes later when we know more information, right?
Yeah, and it's
Oh,
not
okay.
that we know that much about it. This is just like something that they found in the car, and then of course something that people can speculate about how it got
Yeah,
there.
you can bring it
But
up
it
later
might
and we'll
it might
speculate.
not
Yeah.
be, it might not even be super meaningful. It's kind of hard
Yeah.
to know. Like with a lot of the evidence and a lot of the clues in this case, it's always like, is this meaningful at all, or is this just something that happened to be like that?
I
And
think for
doesn't really.
brevity's sake, I'll try to keep my speculation limited
Okay,
as
yeah,
much as
damn.
possible
It's
until I know more. But yeah,
Yeah, when I saw the amount of notes that I had already for part one, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is gonna be long.
how many pages do you have?
I had I had 4 pages of notes, and now I'm at halfway through the third page.
Okay.
So there's not so much left, but Okay. So besides this, there's no blood evidence or no like DNA evidence, no like clear signs of violence or anything like that in the car. About the DNA, it's not at least mentioned in any of the articles that they would have any DNA. I thought you might ask if there was any DNA. Um, although they started using forensic DNA in Hungary already during the 90s. And I checked this. I found that the first case where they used forensic DNA during a trial was in 1992, so not much after this. So, because of this, I would assume that they didn't find any interesting or meaningful DNA in her car.
Yeah, I'm just thinking with the DNA stuff, of course, with the contact DNA. I don't know if they could have gotten
Of course.
much
Like,
information out of that palm print, for instance, where the contact of the rear view mirror was or whatnot.
yeah, this
And
will
then,
also come up in some of the theories later, this palm print. Okay, so this was all the evidence or clues that they found in the car. And now back to the phone calls. So these phone calls from the kidnappers continue after this. And during all of them, like I said, they're talking in like a whispery voice, except for that one time when the caller makes a mistake and talks on his normal voice. So what they only know for sure is that it's a male voice and it's always the same person, but nothing else at this point. So the media starts reporting about the case and refer to him as the whisperer.
oh dear God, that's horrible.
I know, I know.
I mean, it's better than the weepy voiced
Oh
killer or
yeah.
whatever, the whispering bandit. But can I ask something about Hungarian
Hmm.
and language wise?
Oh Jesus, I don't know if I can answer it, but yeah, go
I'm
and
sure you
ask.
can. This is very
Okay.
basic. This is a basic one, but are there many different dialects within Hungary, like that you'd be able to say, okay, these guys are definitely from the southern region or something like that with the types of words that you would use? Or, in Finnish, we have like
Hmm.
the miesie or säämää, like things
Yeah,
that you could easily pick out, okay, that person's from Oulu if they use an extra vowel in silmät or silimat or something or
yeah.
whatnot. Is there something similar in Hungarian?
Not that clearly, like in Finnish, I would say. There are some dialects, like some things that are pronounced a little bit differently. For example, in this region, like southern region close to Szeged, it's a kind of a well-known thing that the ö sound is used more commonly. So the like what would be e in a lot of words
Mm-hmm.
is changed to ö. So like those kind of things can be picked up. And I think nowadays, like in the current day, it's not really true anymore. So I would say all over the country, and it's not a big country, people pretty much talk the same way. So these dialects are even less strong today. I think back then maybe it was a little bit more closer. Like I know that my grandparents used this dialect more commonly. I never did, so this is kind of an old timey thing. But
Mm.
there are not really any strong dialects. Also, like there's another like little bit different type from the northern part of the country, but I wouldn't say that this would be a clear giveaway, maybe. But this
Okay.
doesn't. It's very interesting though, but it doesn't come up in any of the articles that I found.
Yeah, because I was just thinking if this guy is indeed someone who is, it, the transition between, the era change between the socialist era and then nowadays in Hungary post socialism, that like yeah, the boundaries between the regions are more strict, and then of course there's a few years of migration between different areas of Hungary. But then if this person's whispering and they have some giveaways that hey, this voice sounds a bit familiar,
Mm,
like they're
mhm,
they're from this area, or they sound like they're not from this area, they're not using this sound, and
mhm.
they're maybe from Budapest or something like that. Yeah, but that was just a theory.
Yeah, I mean, this would totally be a possibility. It's not really something that comes up in this case, but otherwise, that's a very good point. And the fact that his voice, like his normal voice, is revealed once, it will be important later on. Mm, but it's not because of the dialect. So they call them several times. And the following day after Helga's disappearance, so this would be, just as a reminder, the evening of the same day when they find the car. The
So it's the
kidnapper,
next day of the disappearance.
yeah, so she
Yeah.
disappeared on the 27th, and this is the evening of the 28th, so Friday. They instruct her father to go to this public phone booth at 9:30 in the evening, and for some reason to discuss the money exchange in more detail. But then he finds out when he gets there that this phone booth is not working properly. Allegedly, it was damaged on purpose, but we don't really know. But basically, one article mentioned that it might be that the kidnappers and probably also Helga could hear her father speaking, but he couldn't hear anything from them. So something was weird with the phone booth and they couldn't communicate then. But they call back later, again in the family home during the same, I think during the same evening. I do have a little segment of the phone call if you want to hear it. I don't know if I can play it through Discord, but I can try. Typical kind of kidnapper talk. Tell her father things like, don't try any tricks, and that he will only get Helga back if they get the money and things like that.
You kind of let something slip there that Helga and the kidnappers could hear him. So at this
Mhm.
point, Helga was alive then.
Yeah, I was just gonna get to that part. So it was intentional that they assume that she was alive at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's fine. I would have told
But
you
they so they
why they think that.
assume. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll wait.
Do you want to hear the phone call? I'll start it.
Hánykor? Este 7-kor mit csinálsz? Hívsz, vagy én hívjalak? Ha a pénzt átvettük, akkor kapod a lányt. Hallgasd. Na. Akkor te vagy ezt számolva, félesz nekik, jó? Haló? Szia, Helga! Kész, ennyi. Nem, ez magnóm ment. Magnóm ment, a hangját akarom hallani. Még a hangját nem hallom, nem kaptok egy kurva vasat.
But I mean, it's in Hungarian anyways, but I think it's interesting to hear how it sounded like. So the kidnapper tells Helga's father, he just says, listen, and then you can hear Helga's voice saying, Dad, is that you? I'm not harmed. Pay them, okay? But she sounds kind of like echoey. And after this, and you can hear this in the recording, her dad immediately says that, no, that's a recording. It's not her or well, it's her, but not live. It's a recording. And you won't get any money until I know that she's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would have said the same thing, especially if it was
Yeah.
echoey. Yeah.
So I found this in one source, and I'm not exactly sure why they think this, but I found it somewhere that they think that it's possible that the kidnappers recorded Helga's voice when they were trying to communicate with her father when he went to this phone booth, and then she could hear him and she kind of responded to him, and then they recorded her. So they assumed that she was still alive at that point after like 24 hours after her disappearance.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay.
But we
So
don't
yeah,
know.
that's what you mean by that the phone was purposely kind of messed up. For instance, I guess the receiver or something that he couldn't hear, but he could speak and they could hear him. That was done on
Yeah,
purpose. That's
but
what you
isn't
mean.
it weird? Like then they recorded her and then called him again, and then they played it. What?
Yeah, like
And I think
why do that? That's like extra work.
it. Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know, but this is what I found, and this is another like kind of confusing part. But the assumption is that she was alive 24 hours after the disappearance. So in the meantime, the police are continuing the investigation. and they're conducting like several witness interviews. And during one of these interviews, one of the witnesses, who's Helga's friend, says that a few days before she disappeared, on the 24th of June, so remember she disappeared on the 27th, and this happened on the 24th. It was another day when Helga and her sister, just the two of them, were driving back to Szeged from Orosháza, and two men that they knew followed them in a Lada. But they knew these two guys, and this witness says that, oh yeah, it was these two guys called Benedek Juhász and József Csapó. And apparently Helga even had, well, they might have dated at some point with Csapó, or they had like a friendly, it's assumed that they had a friendly relationship, and nothing really special happened on that day. So Juhász and Csapó just caught up with the girls on the road, and they all got out of the cars. They chatted a bit. Csapó even drove Helga's Mazda for a little while, but nothing special. They just like, winged them down and had this like friendly interaction.
Drove the Mazda. Interesting.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
then
it sounds like, oh, you have this cool car. Can I drive it for a bit? And
yeah, but I'm just thinking like then that is also adding in some plausible deniability by, hey, I was already in that car. People have seen me in this car. Therefore, me changing the seat with like pressing the lever, having a palm print on the rear view window. All of my stuff is in the car because I was there a few days earlier.
yeah, well, it's definitely suspicious. And
Yeah.
also, Csapó and Juhász are not exactly like model citizens. They have already been involved in other criminal cases, so the police know them, and they assume.
I'm just like, how tall are these guys? And their
I
shoe
think
size?
so. That's actually interesting. So I think what they found is that they are shorter, and it's not their shoe size. I think their shoe size is smaller. I don't know. I don't know if it's smaller or bigger, but it didn't match. It wasn't exactly 44.
I mean, that's also easy to fake, but yeah.
Yeah, but interesting. But anyway, so of course, this is very suspicious, and the police assume that this could have been like a trial run for the kidnapping a few days before it actually happened.
I would agree
So,
with that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, definitely suspicious. So on June 29th, 2 days after Helga disappeared, on Saturday morning, the police start investigating or like kind of monitoring Csapó and Juhász, because they already suspect that they maybe have something to do with this. I don't think they have any other leads, but they do it in a very obvious way, apparently. So they go and talk to their families, things like that. So these two guys like almost immediately find out that they are potential suspects in this case. And a lot of people criticize the police because of this, that they didn't they were just like very obvious about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then on the day after that, on June 30th, which would be Sunday, two important things happen on the same day. Csapó and Juhász, they hear about it, that they are investigated, and they show up, like voluntarily show up at the police station in Orosháza, because they want to like clear themselves. They just heard that, oh, the police are looking into us, so let's just go there and say that, well, we have nothing to do with this case.
Yeah, I would do like that too. I mean,
Yeah.
if I was innocent.
Yeah. And
or even
anyways,
if I wasn't.
Yeah, even if I
Yeah.
was guilty, I would go in for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, the story about the 24th kind of sounds like there were no like conflicts or anything, just a friendly interaction. So they just think that they should clarify the situation. So they go there, show up at the police station, but something kind of confusing happens. So so they get to the police station, and apparently there's a police officer at the gate who tells them that, oh, the other officers from Szeged already left, so I don't know, we don't need you guys here, so just go away. And they just send them away, and no one talks to them.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
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 Incompetence. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So this is what happens. Coincidentally, also on the same day, June 30th, the kidnappers call the family again for the 14th and last time. So this is only 3 days after the kidnapping. And it is assumed, so they never call back after this. And it is assumed that because it's so obvious at this point that the police is involved in the investigation and it's already published in the media as well, they just realize that basically there's no way for them to get the money without being discovered, like in a safe way. So they just kind of give up and stop calling. And the ransom is never delivered and Helga is never returned.
Okay, that's
Wow.
fucked up.
It's fucked up. There's more. There's so much more. You can't imagine how much more
This
there is.
started very, let's say hopefully. I mean, we
Mhm.
knew already in the beginning, of course, that this is not a closed case, but still, like, okay, they start investigation immediately. They find proof. There's
Mhm.
calls, communication. So maybe this ends up well, but okay.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there are a few more clues that may or may not mean something, and I still can't. I'm not able to tell you probably even next week if these are, or if all of these are important. But I will. I will tell a few pieces of information that is revealed after this. So, in one of the last phone calls, the kidnapper tells Helga's father to go to Budapest. We maybe could assume that that's because they are there, but we don't know. There's another clue pointing to this direction, maybe, that the police are able to track the first phone calls. And apparently, they were made from a public phone booth in a town or close to a town called Lajosmizse, which would be on the way from Szeged to Budapest. So that's just, yeah, as if someone was just kind of, traveling to Budapest and it's on the way they get out. They make a call from the public phone booth. So there are clues that are pointing to this direction.
Yeah, and somehow in kidnapping cases, this pattern of hiding in a big city makes sense. It's harder to spot. I guess even a okay, yeah, they didn't have the red Mazda anymore. Yeah, but I mean, if you are a person that people are looking for, still you might go unnoticed on a busy street in
Yeah.
a big city. So it's probably more desirable place for the kidnappers to go with
Yeah.
the victim.
It would make
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, there are also some other like contradicting details later on that come up. So this is not a fact or it's not proved, but this is a possibility that that's where they went.
Yeah.
Another interesting piece of information is that according to eyewitness testimonies, already on the road leading out of Orosháza, they saw Helga's car with the lights off, like Helga's Mazda, on the road being followed by, like very closely followed by a white BMW, which had at least 3 people sitting in it, according to eyewitness testimonies. Are
I
they
never.
accurate?
Yeah,
We don't
I'm
know.
always questioning that. Eyewitness
Also, a
testimony.
white BMW, it's not a common car on the roads there. It's again
Mm.
Yeah, I was thinking again, that's the Western car.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then another thing, so obviously there's also a bunch of like tips coming in from the public, a lot of calls to the police, and there's, for example, there's this one that comes in 2.5 weeks after the kidnapping on July 18th. It's from an unknown person who calls the police from a place close to Munich, Germany. And this caller says that he overheard a conversation where they were talking about that Helga was taken to Germany and she might even be taken somewhere else from there. And this caller was very nervous and repeatedly emphasized that he was afraid of retaliation.
Wow. So it was the Germans in their BMW, BW, sorry.
Well, we don't know, but someone might have been in Germany, and maybe Helga was also taken there, potentially.
Somehow this makes me think of this Netflix document about the Vatican girl. I don't know if you saw it.
I haven't.
I haven't, but I know of it. Yes.
And there's also this kind of, was she taken to another country, da kind of things. And yeah,
Yeah.
I recommend watching it actually. Now that this is a two-parter, so maybe you two can watch it
Yeah.
before the next part, because this sounds like there's lots of similarities. Except I
Yeah.
don't know, this doesn't sound like Vatican has anything to do with it, but
I mean, well,
You have the
so
lira.
exactly.
yeah.
Despite all of these tips and all of these clues, Helga or the kidnappers are still not found. But the investigation continues for a while at least. In February 1992, so the next year, there's this, and I'm just going to mention this because I don't really want to waste a lot of time on this side track, but Uri Geller, does this name ring any bells to either of you?
I don't know, it sounds like something I've heard. No,
Wait.
maybe
Yeah.
more.
Rory Geller? Who? What?
Uri
Uri
Geller.
Uri Geller.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Okay. So he is an Israeli, British, Hungarian illusionist, TV personality, and self proclaimed psychic. He joins the search for Helga. I think maybe the family invites him. I'm not exactly sure, but he offers his help to search for Helga. So he goes to the Farkas family's home in Szeged, where he sets up this sort of like call center. This is just one day or like a couple of hours. People can call in with tips. And of course, he receives many, many phone calls. And nothing really comes out of this, but this generates a lot of media attention. So even more, this is all over the media. Now Uri Geller is helping to solve this case. And he actually becomes pretty famous in Hungary after this. I think he even had his own TV show. So there's this angle of the story, but unfortunately, like his greatest achievement is that he found one of Helga's earrings close to the scene where they found her car in the grass. So that's something. Like they didn't really use this information, or this didn't really help the case. But yeah, a lot of media attention at least. And then unfortunately after this, on February 27th, 1992, the official investigation was closed. And interestingly, a year after this, as a result of this case, now kidnapping was entered into Hungarian criminal law. So
Okay.
since then it's included there.
Kind of sad that this guy was their last straw before
Yeah.
stopping the investigation, but
But there's a lot more coming next week, and I will actually
okay.
leave you I will leave you with a cliffhanger today. So a few years later, in the spring of 1995, the police will start looking for Juhas, so one of these two guys who were the previous suspects. They wanted to question him related to another case, so not related to this case, but another criminal case. And after a few months, they managed to find him. But the only problem is that
He's
is
dead.
dead.
Ah, yeah.
Yes.
And they never
Motherfucker.
questioned him in the beginning.
Mm,
Just sent him home.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So this is where we're going to continue from next week. And really, like, believe it or not, there's a lot more to this case than what we talked about so far. So next week, I will tell you about how the investigation unfolds after this. And we'll also discuss some more like theories, potential scenarios, solutions, and even related court case that's still ongoing now in 2023.
Wow.
Wow, this is exciting.
Yeah. I have a
Right?
lot of questions, but I just want to wait
Save
and
them,
wait.
save them for
Yeah,
next
yeah.
week. But
But just
also you can, yeah,
one
ask me
thing.
questions and I can
Was her
see if
body ever found? Is my only question.
you have to cut this out because I don't want to spoil it for.
Well, don't spoil it for me either. I want to wait till next week, so don't tell
Okay.
me.
So
Okay.
let's
But I'm
just
guessing by that you mean that it was found. Okay, never
I
mind.
don't necessarily mean that at all.
I mean,
Okay,
we can give
okay.
our guesses. My guess is not. But I don't want to know the answer. I want to know
Okay.
it next
Yeah, don't
week.
tell me. I'm
Yeah,
saying the
no,
body was
I won't.
found, but many years later.
We'll see. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see.
Do we make a bet, Petra?
Yeah, I
Lunch.
will.
The winner gets lunch at Thai Vegan Kitchen.
Or a glass of wine in the office.
Oh, yeah, a glass of
What
wine.
do
in the
I
office.
get?
You can't win because you know
Yeah, you
the
can't win. You
answer.
already know. Yeah.
Oh, well, I will join you anyways for lunch.
I'll
and
bring you
wine.
some wine.
Yeah, lunch is good.
Yeah.
Also,
Okay, but I have nothing more for this week. So
Okay.
yeah, hopefully you can survive until next week before you can find out the rest of the details that I have.
And we're not even cheating behind the scenes. We're also having to wait till next week. So
Yeah.
fuck. This is
Otherwise, it would be a very long recording.
I really hate this. I hate this. You know, like we discussed during my other case or last week, basically. I hate surprises. So this is one of these things where I'm like, God damn it. I have to
Yeah.
wait. Fuck. Okay. So I guess that's it for this week. You're gonna leave us hanging. Very rude of you, Victoria.
I'm
Thank you.
sorry.
Not thank you. Yeah. Go ahead and let us know what you thought of this episode. Of course, if there's anybody who is listening who does also have some ties in Orosháza or Szeged, like Victoria has, you can send us an email at translationmurderpodcast@gmail.com. Or, of course, if you just want to reach out and talk to us or give us some feedback, no hate mail, only love mail. And what do we not want, Petra?
we do not want dick pics.
Good. Okay. And you can also follow us on Instagram at Translation Murder Podcast. And thanks for listening this week. Thanks for having all the notes, Victoria. Thank you for doing all the research.
My pleasure.
Hey, paralla.
Bye bye.
Bye. See you next week.